Okay, so this is the homework count video for Honors Math 3, Unit 10, Objective 3B. So I'm going to be working out numbers 18, 28, and 30. So for this particular equation, I know I'm going to be working with some sort of limosone, and then I know that the 2 here and the 1 here, so 2 is greater than 1, so because it's greater, then I'm actually going to be graphing a kidney graph, okay? And if I didn't know that, I know when I plotted the points that some of that information would just kind of work itself out, you know, when I do plot those points. So if I don't know what I'm graphing and I plot my points, I should get enough points written out that I can figure this out, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plot my points. So I'm going to evaluate each of these table values. So I'm going to first start with let theta equal 0. So I would have r is equal to 2 minus sine of theta, which is 0. And I know sine of 0 is 0, so 2 minus 0 is 2. So when I go to theta equals 0, which is right here, I would go out 2 circles, so that would give me my first dot right there. Okay. And then now I'm going to go ahead and evaluate at pi over 2. So I would have r is equal to 2 minus sine of pi over 2. And then I know that the sine of pi over 2 is 1, so 2 minus 1 is 1. So when theta is pi over 2, r is equal to 1. So pi over 2 is here. And then I have a radius of 1, so I'm going to go up 1 value, so right there. And then I'm going to do that again. Let me zoom out 1 here. So I would let theta equal pi, my next quadrantal. So I would have r is equal to 2 minus the sine of pi. And so I know the sine of pi is 0, so 2 minus 0 would be 2. So at pi, which is right here, my radius is 2. So I'm going to go towards pi 2 units, so right there. And then 3 pi over 2, so let theta equal 3 pi over 2. So that would be r equals 2 minus sine of 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 is negative 1, so this would be 2 minus negative 1, which would be positive 3. So then I would go to 3 pi over 2, which is down here, and go 3 units towards it, and that would give me that dot. And then I know when I'm graphing theta equals 0 that that's the same going to be the same value as that 2 pi, so that value would be 2. Okay? So then when I graph this, I see that I definitely don't have the limosone with the loop, right? Because I have this stray dot right here. And so because I have that stray dot, then that is what tells me that I'm going to have a kidney shape. So then I'm going to go ahead and connect these 3 dots here first to kind of give me that kind of major kind of bowl shape there. And then from there, this dot right here, I'm always going to do just kind of that little swoop there so that I can get my shape right. And then I'm just going to turn and connect those other dots there. Okay. All right, so there's number 18. So let's go ahead and take a look at question number 28. So for this one here, I have theta is equal to negative 3 pi over 2. And so I want to first find that value, yeah? So because it's negative, that means I'm actually going to be going in a counterclockwise direction, right? So clockwise direction. So because it's negative, I'm actually going to be going downwards first, and then I'm going to go in a clockwise direction. So normally this would be just regular 3 pi over 2, but because I'm going downwards first, this would be negative pi over 2. This would be negative pi, and then this would be my negative 3 pi over 2. So the negative 3 pi over 2 is going this direction, so I'm going to put my point at the pole, and then I'm going to go along this radial line here of negative 3 pi over 2. Okay? All right, and then one more here, number 30. Let's take a look at that one. So for the secant of theta, whenever I get secant or cosecant, something like that, I always go ahead and rewrite that in terms of x and y, just to help me remember better, like, oh, is this one horizontal, is this one vertical? Because sometimes I tend to forget that. So I go ahead and convert it. So I know in general secant is the reciprocal of cosine, right? So cosine is my x value, so x over r. And so then that means secant would be r over x. So then I'm going to replace this right here with r over x. And then I'm going to clear my fractions by multiplying both sides by x. And then solve, so I'm going to divide both sides by r. So then I know I have x equals -2, so on the horizontal axis, so I'm going to go out -2, so go left. And then just draw my vertical line that passes through that value, so passes through that x value. Okay? All right, and that's it for the homework help video.